So to illustrate the concept of present value and profitability index, we will answer this problem from Rayborn and Kenny. Okay? So we have Newport Shipyard is considering the engineering some ship production operations with automated equipment. The new equipment would have an initial cost of 10 million, including installation. The vendor has indicated that the equipment has an expected life of 7 years with an estimated salvage value of 800,000. Estimates of annual labor savings and incremental costs associated with operating the new equipment follow. So we have annual labor cost savings for 14 workers, 1.9 million. Annual maintenance cost, 80,000. Annual property taxes, 56,000. Annual insurance cost of 88,000. Okay? So we have 5 requirements. So first, assuming the company's cost of capital is 7%, compute the net present value of the investment in the automated equipment, and we have to ignore income taxes this time. Based on the net present value, should the company invest in the new equipment? That is the second requirement. Requirement C, compute the profitability index for this potential investment, and we also have to ignore taxes. And then letter D, assume that of the estimates its management has made, Newport Shipyard's managers are least confident of the labor cost savings. Calculate the minimum annual labor savings that must be realized for the project to be financially acceptable. And lastly, what other qualitative factors should the company consider in evaluating this project? Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is to analyze each of the listed costs and savings, no, actually listed amount, no, if this will be classified as an inflow or an outflow, and what will be the timing of this. Okay, so of course the initial cost of 10 million will be a cash outflow. Actually, this is the cash outflow at year 0, which is today, because we are going to spend 10 million pesos today. So as mentioned earlier in the discussion, all expenditures that will be made right now will not be we are not required to compute for the present value of the expenditures that we are going to make right now. Okay, so let us start. So we have requirement A. Requirement A. So we have year 0. We have a cash flow of 10 million pesos. Next, aside from the 10 million pesos, the next amount listed in the problem is the salvage value of 800,000. So we all know that the salvage value is the estimated value of the equipment after its useful life. So the assumption in capital budgeting is that we will not continue using the asset at the end of its useful life. So what we are going to do is we're going to dispose of the asset and realize 800,000 after doing so. Okay, but of course we know that we can still use the asset even if it is fully depreciated. But again, it is an underlying assumption in capital budgeting that all assets that are fully depreciated are disposed immediately. Okay, so of course we will realize this amount, which is 800,000, at the end of the useful life of the asset, which is at the end of year 7. So sorry, this is a cash outflow, whereas the 800,000 will be an inflow. Okay, will be an inflow. Now, what about this cost? Okay, so the following costs, such as the labor cost saving, so we have to compute for the total here. Okay, so we have annual labor cost, annual maintenance, annual property taxes, and annual insurance cost. Okay? So these costs are basically the same for throughout the life of the asset. So we have 1.9 million as an inflow, and then 80,000 outflow. 56,000 is also an outflow, and 88,000, the insurance cost is also considered as an outflow as well. So let us compute for the annual net cash flow. So the annual net cash flow of the asset is equal to 1,676,000. So since this amount, or the amount that we will generate for from using the asset, is the same for 7 years, we will use the present value of an ordinary annuity in compute the present value factor for an ordinary annuity in computing for the present value of this amount. Okay, so we have to put here year 1 to 7. So the cash flow this time, it is an inflow, is equal to 1,667,000. Okay, so now we have to consider the present value factor. So for year 0, we will not use anything, or we will not compute for its present value. Now, for the inflow, for the salvage value which we will receive at the end of year 7, this is a lump sum cash receipt at the end of year 7. So as mentioned, the company's cost of capital is 7%. So let us refer to the present value table that I have downloaded from the internet. So this time, since we will receive it one-time payment or one-time receipt at the end of the 7-year useful life. So this is the period, and then the cost of capital is 7% as well, right? So we are going to copy this present value factor, 0.6227. So of course, the assumption is you know how to compute for the present value factor on your own. Okay, so we have 0.6227, and then for this one, for the annual net cash flow provided by the asset, as mentioned earlier, since it is an equal annual installment or equal annual receipt, we can use the present value of an ordinary annuity. So again, we are going to refer to this present value of an annuity, ordinary annuity. So we have 7 periods at 7%. So this is the present value factor. Okay, so I will copy this. We have 5 point for a while, values only. Okay, and then we have to reduce this. Okay, so we have 5.3893. Okay. And then, of course, compute for the present value. So the present value of this is the same at $10 million. So we have to multiply 800,000 by 0.6227, and then multiply 1676 by 5.3893. Okay? So after this, we can now compute for the net present value of the asset. Okay? So let us just solve. So the net present value of the asset is negative 469,351. Okay? So this is the net present value. As you can see, the net present value is negative, and as a rule, based on what we have discussed earlier, if the net present value is negative, we should reject the project because the rate of return to be provided by the project is less than the desired rate of return of the investors, which is 7%. Okay, so that is the answer for letter B. Okay, so there. Now, for requirement C, we have to compute for the profitability index of this investment. Okay, so for the profitability index of this investment, our formula, or to compute for the profitability index, what we're going to do is we are going to divide the um, present value of the net cash flow divided by the net investment. Okay? So let us compute first for the present value of the net cash flow. Okay? So the present, you have to take note that the present value of the net cash flow is not the same as the net present value. Remember, the net present value, you have already deducted your net investment. So the present value of the net cash flow is the sum of this one. Diba? So we have 9,530,648. Okay? And then we are going to divide this by the net investment. So the net investment is 10 million, of course. Diba? So we have 10 million. So present value profitability index is equal to 9,530,648 divided by 10 million, and we have a profitability index of 0.9531. Okay, 0.9531. So what is our rule, diba? So our rule is we are going to accept profitability a project which has a profitability index which is equal or greater than 1. So this is consistent with what we have done in our net present value computation. Because the net present value is negative, the profitability index is also less than 1. Okay? So there, that's how you compute for the net present value as well as the profitability index.